Ooh, okay. Hopefully you all can hear me now. I just saw that the sound was not working, and that just sums up the message that I was sharing. So I titled this, It's Just a Test. And I'm telling y'all, I just want to encourage you. If this message is for you, you are going to know this message is for you, because you probably have been warring against things, or maybe feeling like it's time to give up. Maybe you've been questioning, should you keep going? Is it time for you to let it go, or should you keep going? I've prayed over this message, and I want to encourage you all today, because I was able to see this like live, real time action, exactly what I'm about to share. So just to give you a little background, I did an interview today. I was being interviewed for an upcoming event. And in the interview, it was it was just such an awesome message. The woman interviewing me, she brought up some questions. And if you're watching this live, if you can just let me know if y'all can hear me now, and share this if you're watching, if you're catching it live. But she brought up such a good question. She was like, Erica, I follow the messages that you put out. And apparently I put out a message talking about being just being strong in the face of adversity, overcoming obstacles, something along those lines. And so I went on to encourage her. I was telling her, I was like, man, when you come from this place of gratitude, you can look at things like being stuck in traffic as a blessing. You can look at everyday life, small things, and find the blessing in them, because there's some type of silver lining, and you can stand on the word that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. That's Romans 8:28. So y'all, I was just super on my amen. She was like, yes, amen. We're high-fiving like, amen. All right, sis, So I get off the interview and stepped straight into a test. So funny that I used traffic as an example. I was like, when you're running late, or, you get stuck in traffic, it's a blessing. So lo and behold, after I finished that interview, I was headed somewhere, had an issue with my tire, and I ended up getting to where I was headed like an hour late. And in the moment, I was immediately reminded of that interview. And I'm like, sis, I'm sis, I'm sis in this scenario. It's like, you just encouraged all these people like, hey, all things work together for the good. And it was so great, because I had to remind myself at that moment. It was good. I was like, you know what? Yes, it's just a test. Like, keep going. I have a verse for you all just to confirm all of this. So then I get over that. I'm like, yes, I'm an hour late, but it put me a little behind schedule. I'm just going to order dinner tonight. I'm not even going to stress it, because it's a blessing in disguise, right? So I order dinner, go to pick it up at the restaurant, and they gave my order away to someone else. And at this point, I'm at the level, y'all, I'm at hangry. If anyone can relate to me, it's one thing when you're like, being impatient or frustrated. It's another thing when your patience is also contingent on your level of hunger. Hashtag, like, you have not eaten. You're hungry. You're waiting on your food. And then I found out it was about to be like another half-hour wait when I thought I was on time, but they gave my food away. And I was reminded again of this interview and my answer in this interview, where I told her, you just got to know that all things are working together for the good. Because it's easy when we're going and we're telling other people, sometimes it's easy to believe that way. Or maybe you're that person, if you can relate to this, you're always giving out advice, you're encouraging other people, you're helping everyone else. And sometimes we can get tested on the very thing we're putting out. So I said that, and then a customer comes up to me and she's like, that would have been my perfect time to snap. Y'all, I was ready to snap. I was hungry. They gave my food away. I have nothing to do with it. I didn't do anything. They gave my food away. But then I had to remember the interview, and it made me think, like, who knows? They could have dropped something on the floor and put it back in the box, and that was God's protection. Who knows? But I knew that it was because of the very message I was standing on, because of the promise I've been standing on, because of the vision God has given me, because of the people attached to my obedience, because of the people like you all who are watching or who will watch this video after it's done, that have been called to a purpose. So as promised, like, I want to share this verse with you all. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. But rejoice, rejoice, be thankful, be excited, inasmuch as you are partakers of Christ's suffering, that when his glory shall be revealed, you may be glad also with exceeding joy. If you're reproached for the name of Christ, happy are you, for the spirit of glory and of God rest upon you. On their part, he is evil spoken of, but on your part, he's glorified. But let none of you suffer. And it keeps going, but it's just, y'all, like, don't think it's strange when you are walking on a path, when you are looking to birth something amazing, when God has given you a vision, trials will come. And let me see, there's another one, but it's that test. When that test comes, the other blessing on the other side is usually so much closer than you could even imagine. So let me read this one to you all. But that was the other thing that I realized in the circumstance. What seemed like a big problem, what seemed like a big challenge, was going to be rectified. It was going to be fixed literally in a matter of minutes. Both situations that seemed like delay, it seemed like a trial, it seemed like all these things coming up, they were fixed in a matter of moments. So James 1:3 is the other one that I wanted to read to you all. And you can again go back. It's I just read First Peter and then James 1:3, or actually James 1:2. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. And let perseverance have its finished work, or finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete and lacking nothing. That's James 1:2-4. Now I know I just kind of stuttered over that. But I want y'all, listen, be encouraged, read that. Perseverance is having its perfect work. There is stuff that used to trip you up. There are things that used to have you feeling like you were counted out. There are things that you used to feel they could cause you to feel unworthy or cause further delay. It's not going to get you this time. Even when I was in this restaurant, I had every right. I could have like snap, crackled, and popped on everyone on that wait staff. I could have complained to that customer line. I could have went completely off. And I can guarantee you, I probably am going to end up bumping into someone that worked at that restaurant. That has happened to me like so many times, where I'll run into someone and they're like, oh, yes, you were just speaking at an event that I was at, or you were here, you were there. Listen, this isn't about being fake. It's not about not having emotions. But I'm telling you, many of these things that are so small, they're so small, will try to trip you up and cause delay. But if this message is for you today, I'm just reminding you to rejoice, to find your joy. Understand that something so much bigger is being birthed when the delay comes up, when the distractions come up, and usually it's these minor inconveniences. Y'all know that there's the verse I read a lot in Jeremiah. You can go check it out. If you wrestled with the men on foot and they wearied you, how then can you run with horses? Many of you are being strengthened because you will be running with horses. It is creating perseverance in you. It's strengthening you to a level that where you're going, you won't be able to afford to get tripped up over the same things. You are going to a level that you can't afford to get angry over a mixed up batch of fries, at a restaurant, or chicken wings, or whatever y'all are ordering. Like, that right there is so minor. You won't have time to let it slow you down. You won't have time to get caught in traffic and show up at your location with a chip on your shoulder, or upset or frustrated over these minor things. Rejoice, because God is making you so much stronger for the thing that you've been praying about. And I'm telling you, for many of you, it is various different things. Whether you've been praying about this relationship, marriage coming your way, restoration in certain areas. You're not going to be able to carry these same habits with you anymore. And that's what it says, that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything, lacking nothing. That's James 1:4. We don't have time to keep carrying these things with us. It's baggage. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. If you've been praying like, well, how is this working together for my good? Why are these things coming up against me? God, why is it taking so long? If any of you lacks wisdom in these areas, ask God. When I was going through, and these are small things, like I'm telling y'all, a little tire issue, some food given away and having to wait for a fresh order to be made, that's fine. But it could have changed the course of the day. Many of you are allowing these little things to come in and spoil the whole blessing. If you are ready to amp on someone over some, I had some cauliflower. This probably doesn't sound good to some of y'all. I don't eat meat though. Some cauliflower wings. If you're ready to like amp on someone, or like, you know, you lose all of your joy, your peace, you're no longer grounded for the day over some cauliflower wings or some real hot wings or some chicken nuggets or potato wedges or fries. I know it's a silly example, but many of us are causing our own delay. We're missing that opportunity to persevere. We're missing the opportunity. And I'm gonna read it again. We're lacking wisdom. We're missing the opportunity to be made whole, to be made complete, to mature over these little things. So think it not strange when these trials come up for many of you, it's because you're such an example. You are being the example. You're being the example in your family. You're being the example in your community. Many of you are being the example in your nation, internationally. And you can't be that example if you're 5 different people, depending on if they know you behind the scenes, or do they know you at church, or do they know you at work, or do they know you on the business front. Like, that's no more. So I came up here to encourage you all, because even the test of getting this video, I'm like, the audio went out. These things happen, but know that when you start seeing them come up, usually it's when you're on the brink of something. Yes, I had to wait to get that reorder done, but when it was done, it was only in a matter of minutes. And some of you are so close to the thing that you've been expecting. You're so close to that thing that you've been praying for, and how you handle or mishandle that waiting season, it can determine, it can make or break it. Are you going to show up whole? Are you going to show up complete? Are you going to show up ready to receive what you've been waiting for? Or are you missing it because you're getting sidetracked by these little tests? So I just wanted to encourage you all on that. It's just a test. So if you've been wondering, like, is God mad at me? Or are like, definitely, y'all know I'm always saying, like, get out of the comparisons. But no, God's not mad at you. This even says to rejoice, be excited, be thankful when these trials come. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature, complete, and not lacking anything. And I'll go back to 1 and 2, and it says, consider it pure joy. Be excited, y'all. Be grateful. I'll tell you just a little bit about what I shared, and I'll be sharing. I have had so many speaking opportunities come up lately, so I'll be promoting quite a few conferences that y'all see where people have reached out. That's a whole other story that I'll get into at another time. But consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds. I was using the example or sharing how I lost most everything during a natural disaster, Hurricane Florence. And at that time, I remember I wasn't like perfect. Like, don't get me wrong. It was sad. I had emotions, you know, it was a tough time. But also I remember I started like being more intentional about making lists of what am I grateful for? I know I just lost everything. I know so many things are missing, but what am I grateful for? And I remember at that time that one of the things that I put on that list was I was grateful that I had my parents. I put that several days. I would challenge myself when I felt overwhelmed, or when I felt like I wanted to cry, when I was looking at how everything was being like ripped up from under my feet. It felt like, what are you grateful for? And when I look back on those moments, my mom actually passed away almost over a year ago after that storm. And I think back to those days that I was so grateful for my mom. Like, I had that written down. And so it let me know that sometimes we can wonder, like, did I miss that opportunity? Or if you guys think about times that you're like, I wish I could go back to that day, or did I fully appreciate it? Did I see how amazing that moment was? And it's so exciting to me when I look back on those journals and having written that down, that I was actually grateful in those moments. And I want to encourage you all today, be grateful. Yes, there may be trials. There may be things that are missing in your life. There may be things that you're waiting for. There may be things that you're hoping that God's going to bring to pass. All of those things. But I'm guaranteeing you, in fact, if you're watching me, you already got me beat in that season, because that means you have internet. You got, a way to watch these streams. There are some people that don't even have that. Electricity, like so many things. So find whatever you can be grateful for. Be joyful. So consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kind, because knowing that the testing of your faith produces perseverance, it's just making you stronger. You will not get tripped up. stuff that may slow other people down years from now, months from now. It's not going to trip you up the same, because you've gone through that trial. You are complete. You're being made mature. You're being made complete. You're not lacking as these things come. So that's just my encouragement for you all. I wanted to come up here and encourage y'all, because this is it was heavy on my heart. I usually would not be on live. I'm ready to go to sleep a little bit, but if this message is for you, that is the posture that I believe God has you to be in right now. Be in that posture of rejoicing. Get into that posture. Y'all, make the enemy mad. Make the enemy mad. Stop. Don't give in. Like, don't give in to what you see. I could have made the enemy so happy today. I could have snapped on the cashier. I could have snapped on, probably there was about 5 people that could literally have me feeling ashamed in a few days if I bump into them in public, if I would have given in. And I was only minutes away from having one of the best plate of cauliflower wings I've eaten thus far. So, and they were so kind, like, afterwards. And that's what many of you are. That's what I perceive right now. And that's why I'm kind of like not rushing off where I usually try to rush off. But somebody, if you've been praying for that confirmation, like, God, are you upset with me? Why does it seem like the ways of the wicked are prospering? Why does it seem like these other people, they're so far ahead, or they're getting so much? What about me, God? You are being perfected, because the mantle that is on you, you won't be able to afford. You won't be able to afford to have that short temper. If I snap on people right now, based on the vision God has given me, how dare I be snapping on people? Then they come and catch me on social media, catch me on my YouTube channel, catch me on somebody's media outlet, talking about all things work together for the good, and I done cuss them completely out over a plate of cauliflower wings. Like, no, that's why you're being perfected, because the vision that you have, what you've been praying for, eye has not seen, ear has not heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man, the things that God is going to be able to bring through you and bless you with. And because of that mantle that is on you, and this is for so many of y'all, the mantle that is on you, you cannot afford to buckle, to break, to give up, to throw in the towel every 2 weeks, like hitting the gas and hit the brake, hit the gas and never mind. You can't afford that anymore. And that's why you're going through this season that has strengthened you. Or that's why many of you now are looking back on a recent season or a time where it seemed like things were going so slow. It wasn't taking off as fast as you thought. Things aren't happening in your timing. Trust God's timing. I'm telling you, do not grow weary in your well-doing. In due season, y'all are about to reap that next level. But how you're handling it right now, how you're experiencing it, how you're growing through it, is going to determine how it comes to you. And when it comes, my prayer is that you let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. God's promises are true. His word does not return void. My final confirmation for those of you that are watching this, that this is resonating with you, he's already giving you the promise. For many of you, God has given you not only the promise, 11,000 confirmations. You are like Gideon's twin right now. God, well, can you just make the fleece wet and then the ground dry, and make the fleece dry, the ground wet? Can you let a bluebird land on my rooftop, and then can a butterfly, land on my windshield? And then, God, while the butterfly is on my windshield, can you have someone text me James 1:4 while the clock says 11:15? And for many of you, God has met you at that confirmation. I'm being extra, I know, but God has confirmed this thing for you. He has confirmed the vision. So instead of getting so fixated and so overwhelmed by the vision, know that God is giving you the provision in the meantime. And that's the perseverance. Even as Gideon was getting all of his confirmations and preparing, understand that God was prepping him in the meantime. Even as, listen, Gideon got down to what, 300? If anyone's familiar with that story, write it in the comments. Like, God was snatching people left and right. Some of y'all have been placed. I hope this message encourages y'all right now. I'm like, I'm going to wrap up, but I'm like, let me tell you, y'all have been placed in what feels like isolation. You're like, why are so many people being snatched out of my circle? Why does my circle feel like the size of a pen tip? Why is it so small? And it's just like Gideon. God was making provisions the whole time. And he gave him all of the confirmation. So imagine if Gideon, go read the story of Gideon. Excuse me. Read the story of Gideon if you get a chance. But it was because God knew what he was doing. And for many of you, when this thing happens, no one else is getting the credit for it. No one else. All these people want to try to get their hands in it and say they did it or they helped. No one else is getting the credit. And that is why for many of you, you've had to come to such a place of isolation, and you're hearing more from God more than you've ever been. It feels like confirmation on every side. Things are happening at lightning speed when you're thinking of things. And this is what many of you are transitioning into. You're barely going to be able to finish the thought before God brings it to pass for you. So rejoice, have a party before you go to bed tonight. Put on your favorite praise and worship or something. I want you to be excited, be expectant, because for many of you, just like my food order took an additional, I think 30 minutes. I don't know, because I was just in there trying not to snap. I wasn't even looking at the time anymore. It was like, pull your stuff together, Eric. You just did this interview. You just talked about all things working together. You just talked about patience. Many of you are in that place, but it was a matter of moments before the promise manifested and came to pass. That's what many of you, that's where you're at. That's the season that you're in. I'm excited for you. I'm so excited for you all. I wanted to encourage you, if you're just catching this, hit the rewind, hit the replay. It is just a test. It is just a test. Pass the test. Pass it with flying colors. Be ready. This test is positioning you to receive all. Like, have you done all? Have you recovered all? There was another verse. I'm just gonna do a series probably. There was another one where God asked David, did you recover all? If you haven't recovered all, God's not done anyways. So rejoice in that. Know that that vision that was given to you was not given to you for you to be disheartened. There was another verse I was reading, and then for real, y'all, then I'm gonna go ahead and hop off. But this just reminded me of it. It was basically, it's in, oh, here it is. It's in Proverbs 12. And I cannot find it. It's basically talking about hope deferred, that it makes the heart sick, basically. And so when I read that, it just encourages me, because it's just like a reminder that that's not even God's will. Like, God doesn't want you sitting out here feeling like you have to miss out, or feeling like, God's out to get you. Like, so many people, I know this feeling. Like, I know there have been times where I've Googled, I don't know if y'all can relate. Like, is God mad at me? Signs that God is mad at you, because you're seeing other people prosper. You're seeing these people seemingly get ahead so quickly. Meanwhile, you've done all. You've done all. You stood. You put on the belt, the breastplate, the feet, everything. You've done everything. That Ephesians 6, the full armor of God, and it seems like things are not working. Well, get ready, get in position. And this isn't like a cliche. This is a real get in position, as patience has its perfect work. Let patience, let perseverance, the triple P's, have its perfect work, because that's when you're going to see these things come to pass. That's when you're going to see it. So some of y'all have been put to the test, just like I was put to the test today. Some of the things that you've been standing for and waiting for, you've been put to the test, and you're about to pass with flying colors. That is my prayer for everyone that is on this live, that's catching this replay. That is my prayer for you. My hope for you is that you just have supernatural strength to withstand, to persevere, because on the other side, you will be made whole, you will be made complete, and you will be lacking. Y'all, somebody say this as I get ready to close out: lacking nothing. Nothing is lacking. Nothing is missing. The thing you've been praying for, God, his hand is not so short that you can't receive it. Like, God, he sees you. He knows you. He's seen the tears. He's seen those moments where you stayed up praying and crying. He's seen you. God is not leaving you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. And even when it's not how we expect it or how we want God's timing to come about, trust in this season, I'm telling you, many of you are just being made whole and complete, because when he blesses you, when God blesses you, he adds no sorrow to it. When we bless ourselves, when we force God's hand, when we try to manipulate things, we try to make it come the way we want it to come, then it falls apart. But God is blessing many of you in a way that he adds no sorrow to it. That's his word right there. The blessing of the Lord makes rich, and he has no sorrow to it. So for whatever you're standing on, this being whole and complete is so that when it comes, whether it is that marriage, that business, that elevation, that door opening, that ministry, that promotion, that whatever it is, that strengthening your prayer walk, when it comes, you will lack nothing in that area. It's not, God doesn't give like the world gives. The world gives, the world takes away. The world puts people up on platforms. They are the best thing since sliced bread. And I could just start naming celebrities right now, and half of y'all would turn your nose up like, oh yeah, we don't mess with them. We don't mess with them. We don't mess with them. When there was a time where that person was up so high, they were borderline untouchable. God doesn't give to us in that way. He adds no sorrow to his blessings. And that is why it requires that patience. That's why we're tested at times. That's why we go through those trials at times, because it's perfecting us so that we don't outgrow our character, that we don't get to places or in relationships. And I am a witness of that, in places, relationships, positions that we forced. Therefore, we can't sustain it. We might be smiling on the outside, but on the inside, things are falling apart and we're crumbling. God doesn't want that for us. So, whoo, y'all, that is my encouraging message to y'all. I've gone a little longer than I intended, but if this bless you, if it bless you, tell someone, tag someone. If you have not subscribed to me yet on YouTube at Eric Empowers, do so, and tell someone else to subscribe. I'm gonna go ahead and hop off, but go out, make tonight, y'all, rest, get you some good rest. If you're watching this evening, make it amazing, because it's a choice. I love you all, and thank you so much for tuning in.